Hey guys, welcome back to part 3 of our video series on GHK-Cu or GHK copper. In part 1, we introduced the peptide and the basic mechanism of action that we know about. In part 2, we looked at the preclinical trial data, basically summarized everything real quick because I feel like most people already know the gist of what it does. And in part 3, we're going to be discussing the human clinical trial data that exists. As always, my name is Dr. Bahati, fully licensed medical physician and fitness and wellness enthusiast. Let's get into it. So, like most peptides, there's not a whole lot of data in humans with GHK-Cu. The best design study that's available is a randomized double-blind trial using a topical application of GHK-Cu after CO2 laser resurfacing. It was a very small trial. There were only 13 adults that were involved. And these patients received a GHK-Cu cream, 0.05% GHK-Cu cream, for 12 weeks after a CO2 laser resurfacing procedure. Then after 12 weeks, they underwent an objective evaluation and then a subjective evaluation. Objectively speaking, the rash and inflammation and wrinkle depth were compared, and there wasn't much difference between the two groups. However, the patients did subjectively say that they felt as if their skin quality was improved, and that subjective assessment did show some statistical significance between those two groups. There have been several other smaller studies on photo-aged facial skin and minor surgical wounds, but most of them show fairly modest improvement when it comes to healing, skin thickness, and patient-scored texture, which is what they describe. There actually haven't been any studies performed using systemic or injectable GHK-Cu for any indication, really. So again, the question always remains, why is there so little clinical data? Well, first of all, GHK-Cu is marketed as a cosmetic ingredient and not a drug. So you actually don't need these large investigational new drug programs in order to study it. Additionally, a lot of the patents that were obtained for GHK-Cu have actually expired, so there's very little financial incentive on the end of the pharmaceutical companies to pursue further research in people. The other thing is, in terms of pharmacokinetics itself, we know that GHK-Cu has an incredibly short half-life, 30 to 60 minutes, which would require research into a more stable analog. So at the end of the day, my take is that it has promise. It's shown to be very benign, so to speak. Very little toxicity shown in preclinical and clinical trials. This isn't topical formulations, so you can't necessarily translate that over to systemic use, like what people are doing with the subcutaneous administration. The thing that I kind of consider is that it's been proven to have a very short half-life. So again, like with other peptides, the dosing regimens that people recommend make zero sense to me. Like 50 milligrams once daily, I don't think is really doing all that much at the end of the day. You probably would have to dose several times a day, which is why I think a topical formulation would probably be a lot better. Like if people incorporated it into a sunscreen or something and used it as a cosmetic, like application in that sense, I think that would be far more effective and also easier to administer. Also reduce your number of injections because, a lot of people, like we've already discussed, are taking multiple different peptides at a time. So I just think looking at the big picture and all the data available, that people might be going about GHK-Cu in the wrong way, out of excitement, without really taking into consideration what the data is telling us. But anyways, those are my 2 cents. I'm kind of getting sick of offering my 2 cents because people just like to jump at, it's annoying, genuinely. People like to jump and discredit me for whatever reason, and it doesn't bother me at all, but it makes me not want to talk about peptides. Anyways, hope you guys have a good day. Dr. Bahati, I will see you next time.